The early game of the year of college football is in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Roger Hoover, of course, is a host for the Crimson Tide radio network. Also, he doesn't want to give himself credit, but does a great job at play-by-play for all different sports across the network. I'm going to give him the credit. Roger and I go back to his days doing play-by-play for baseball in the Marlins organization, but he's gone on to have a wonderful career and still continues to do it. He'll be in the house Saturday night when the game goes off. Roger, great to catch up with you. Thanks for coming on our show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Craig, for having me. I really enjoyed my time in Miami and South Florida covering baseball with you, but doing well here in Alabama. Now just ready for, as you mentioned, a huge football game coming up on Saturday.
All right, so it's been 4 years since Alabama's played Georgia during the regular season, and it's a really early matchup for this as well. Two teams that have playoff aspirations for the first time. It would appear that the team that loses is still in the mix, by the way, for the college football playoff with the addition of 12. Bulldogs, spread-wise, 1.5, 2-point favorites. I mean, look, in the SEC, when Titans match up, it does tend to go down to like the last possession of the game. You have a much better read, certainly, on this than I do. How do you think this game plays out on Saturday?
It's going to be really interesting because normally when we talk about an Alabama-Georgia matchup with Kirby Smart versus Nick Saban, you're essentially seeing the same team play each other in terms of playing styles, in terms of athletes they're recruiting, because players typically go to either Georgia or Alabama. Kirby Smart, obviously, with all the years he spent on Nick Saban's staff, recruits the exact same player to Georgia. Things have changed a little bit with Kalen DeBoer taking over the Alabama Crimson Tide. He has a different philosophy on offense, different philosophy on defense. So this is really the first time we've seen a matchup like this where you're not necessarily preparing for that same heavyweight style bouts where the game will be played in either the teens or the 20s and you know the defense is going to dominate. There's a lot we don't know, I feel like, going into this matchup, but we do know that the Crimson Tide have been off to a really good start this year. 3-0, maybe had some tough moments against South Florida, but still put that game away with a 28-3 scoring margin in the fourth quarter, and then looked really explosive against Wisconsin as well. Georgia hasn't been as explosive. They really struggled against Kentucky a couple weeks ago. Their offense just hasn't had the same rhythm that we saw a year ago with Carson Beck, or especially during those back-to-back national championship years. So even though it's two familiar brands, still two teams at the very top of college football, this is a little bit different of a matchup than we've seen in the last few years between Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah, and certainly, Roger is, broadcasting for the Crimson Tide radio network, so is not going to have necessarily the same things to say about the point spread like I can, which was in the offseason. The look-ahead line was Georgia being a much more significant favorite. To Roger's point, Alabama has played better than Georgia in the month of September, which is why I think that this is a lot closer than it has been. So, Roger, you've certainly seen Nick Saban around as a coach. And now it's Kalen DeBoer's show. So I guess let's go there. How different has it been for you seeing him around as opposed to Coach Saban, who, of course, I know here from being in South Florida as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins as well, attitude-wise. We heard Kirby Smart say earlier in the week that they're preparing for a different look defensively. It's going to look much different than it did when they faced off against Nick Saban. So what is the breakdown with him as opposed to Saban going into a big game like this?
Well, for Coach DeBoer, he's just very comfortable in his own skin, and he has been just, very even-keeled for every moment. He has been the head coach of the Crimson Tide from first getting the job back in January, only a couple days after Coach Saban retired. He has been able to put his own spin on the program a little bit while not changing too much from what Coach Saban liked to do and what Alabama football has always been known for. But again, he's just been very comfortable, and he's kind of talked about the fact that, yes, it is a big game. The eyes of the college football world are on this matchup, but we're still going to do what we're going to do. And I think the players have really taken on that attitude as well. So it has been a lot different. Again, everyone seems a little bit more relaxed around Tuscaloosa. Coach Saban certainly had a very disciplined structure, and you kind of knew what you were getting each and every day. And so far, it's been similar with DeBoer. It's just been a little bit more loose and relaxed, and I think people have certainly enjoyed that. Just want the winning thing we saw with Coach Saban for all the years. Certainly want all that to continue moving forward. But it's been refreshing. And again, for Alabama to look so good in the first three games of the year, I think has really helped the fan base rally around Kalen DeBoer. Now they're just excited to see what SEC football is going to look like for him.
Yeah, I think it's all fair. And again, not to bring up the ghosts here of Coach Saban, but it's definitely a different look completely for the University of Alabama as it pertains to it. And I guess to kind of take it a step further, Roger, sort of as we dive into it here, I do think what's sort of odd here is that, and maybe not fair to DeBoer too, is that if Saban was still the head coach of the University of Alabama right now, NIL stuff notwithstanding, I think most people probably would pick Alabama to win this game. But because he is not, it's almost like people have slanted their view to Georgia. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily fair.
I would certainly agree with that, especially with what we've seen on offense from Alabama, because this team looks a lot better offensively than they did a year ago. Certainly upgrading the receiver position. Jeremy Bernard transfers over from Washington, and then maybe the best young player in college football, 17-year-old Ryan Williams, leading receiver so far for the Crimson Tide, and not just huge home run plays from Jalen Milroe downfield to him, but even in the short intermediate passing game, Ryan Williams has been a good threat. And I think Jalen Milroe is a vastly different player than he was a year ago, even going back to the SEC championship game where he played well against the same Georgia Bulldog team. I mean, he's making some really good decisions. I think the offense is really designed for him. He's already had 2 rushing touchdowns in each and every game, so he has 6 touchdowns already on the season. It just looks very comfortable. So again, I think this Crimson Tide team, the main question mark is the defense and the secondary. It's not been tested that much, and this is also a Tide team that's been giving up a lot of yards on the ground. Certainly can't afford to have that come up tomorrow.
Yeah, would agree. All right, can't wait to catch it, Roger. Hey, it's been great to see you, man, and great to catch up, and really appreciate you taking some time to come on the show. And thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Craig, for having me on. Hopefully we can do it again. Maybe talk about Alabama and Georgia, I don't know, in the SEC championship game or the college football playoff down the road. We know the Tide will be a part of it.
I mean, they could play 3 times. 3 times in one season.
We're ready for it.
I mean, it could happen. All right, Roger, thanks again for coming on the show. Catch Roger this weekend on the Crimson Tide Radio Network, hosting and getting you ready for the big matchup against Georgia. We'll be